Hi, my name is Bill Wiese. I'm the author of the book 23 Minutes in Hell, and thank you for joining me. Some ask, when was hell created? Well, first of all, hell was not actually created, but prepared. And the word prepared in the Strong's means to make ready. You know, in Matthew 25:41, Jesus said, "Then he will also say to those on the left hand, 'Depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels.'" This is the same word, prepared, that God used in John 14:2, where he said, "I go to prepare a place for you in heaven." So in the preparation of hell, God simply removed his attributes or his goodness from it. This actually became hell or Hades. When his attributes are removed, all that's left is desolation, darkness, the absence of all life, and the absence of all good. Now, as for the time of hell's preparing, it was sometime after the 6 days of creation. And the reason it didn't exist prior to the 6 days is because God had said in Genesis 1:31, everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Now, if hell existed prior, he wouldn't have said everything was very good. And in his book, The Classic Writings of Billy Graham, page 54, he said, "It is difficult to suppose that the fallen angels occurred before God placed Adam and Eve in the garden, at the end of all creation, and he pronounced everything to be good." Now, so by implication, up to this time, even the angelic creation was good. Close quote. Now, Wayne Grudem, in Systematic Theology, page 402, he said, "If the angels, the sons of God, shouted for joy when God was making the earth inhabitable, this could imply that God created the angelic beings early on the first day. Sometime before Satan tempted Eve in the garden, in Genesis 3:1, a number of angels sinned and rebelled against God. And that's in 2 Peter 2:4 and Jude 6 and 7. This event occurred apparently after the 6 days of creation, when God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Now, this would indicate that Satan hadn't yet sinned and fallen during those 6 days. Therefore, hell was not yet prepared. Since Satan, also known as Lucifer, was the highest of God's creation before man, he may have felt that he was special to God. After all, he was the top of the angelic host. Billy Graham said he was the most brilliant and most beautiful of all created beings in heaven. Then Ezekiel 28:12-17 says, God said about Lucifer, "You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty." Wow! Lucifer was quite an exemplary creation or being. You know, Lucifer may have been envious of God's attention centered on man. You know, man is also made in God's image, and angels are not. So pride entered his heart. It most likely was not long after the creation week that Lucifer rebelled in heaven. And the reason for this belief is because 1 John 3:8 says, the devil has sinned from the beginning. Then Mark 10:6 says, "But from the beginning of the creation, God made them male and female." And one more verse, Romans 5:12 says, "Therefore, just as through one man's sin entered the world, and death through sin, and thus death spread to all men." So we see that man was created at the beginning, and also sinned from the beginning in the garden. And we see that Satan sinned from the beginning in heaven in Ezekiel 28:15. So Satan first brought sin into heaven, and then after that, man brought sin into the earth. That's in Romans 5:12. So Jesus said in Luke 10:18, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." Then Ezekiel 28:16 says, "And you sinned, therefore I cast you as a profane thing out of the mountain of God." Therefore, we conclude that Satan must have rebelled shortly after the creation week, which means hell was prepared not long after the 6 days. So I hope this clarifies this question for you. And thank you so much for joining me.